Survive, the race recap edition. Today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Marathon. It is not only one of my absolute all-time favorite races, one of the 6 world major marathons that people set their heart and desire to finish and do. And I've just been lucky enough to run it not once, but twice. Yes, I ran it in 2019 and I also ran it in 2022. And I've done a lot of things wrong and I've learned a lot of lessons and I would do a lot of things differently. But at the same time, I had a great race one time out of 2 because the first one was miserable and there's a lot of things I didn't know. So that is why I'm doing today's race recap, because I want to make sure when you get to Chicago yourself, you have the best time of your life. Not only just say, oh, it was a good race. It's the best time of your life because you know what to do, you know where to go, and you know how to make it the #1 experience out there for your world majors. And I'm not just being biased because I haven't made it to the others. I also just ran New York City, but I have to say, there's something special about Chicago. There's something special about Chicago every time you run it, and I've talked to multiple people and they say the exact same thing. You're gonna have a different experience at every single world major. I'm gonna tell you right now, Chicago is one for the books, and I think it's one of the most gorgeous cities I've ever been to, despite the crime rate, but that's okay. So we're not only gonna talk about my experience at the Chicago race, but we are also gonna talk about what you need to know, where to stay, where to fly in, and what to do when you get there. I just want to say, I won't really focus on it too much, but Chicago was the best marathon in 2022 I have ever done in my life, and that is because I went in with no expectations. The amazing people, I made so many friends that I've known on Instagram and I met them. We were pumped up, the energy was awesome, the weather was perfect, everything about it was perfect. Now, I think we've all had those races where maybe we needed some of that at them when we wanted to do good. But I'm telling you right now, it wasn't a PR, it wasn't even my best time. It's probably 15 minutes off my best time. But the fact that I was there with friends and just flew through that race and enjoyed the city, that is #1 tip I'm going to tell you to do, is go into these world majors enjoying the race. Don't go into race them. So if you only get one tip out of this video, that is when you race a world major, please go in and enjoy that major. Don't go in to race it, because I'm telling you, there's so many of us that have done that in the past and we regret it. There's so many people there I met that were actually there in 2019 when I was there too and had one of the worst races I've ever had. We were all back there to redeem ourselves, and we had one of the funnest, best races we've ever had in our lives. So go out there and enjoy the majors. Don't make them a stressful day. So that's #1. That might be my biggest takeaway when it comes to travel. Fly into Midway. O'Hare is there. I don't think it's as close to Chicago as Midway is. Midway is a super easy flight. I always take Southwest. Southwest flies right into Midway. You get your 2 free bags full of shoes that you're not going to use because you're only using 1 pair on the race. And honestly, you just Uber to the city. Now that brings up, where are you going to stay? I'm going to be honest with you. My best friend lives in Hyde Park. I stayed in Hyde Park. That's about 20 minutes on without traffic away from the start line. But I will give you the top 3 places that you can stay. I stayed in the Best Western when I went there in 2019, but top 3 places that you can stay when you go there that are within 0.4 miles of the Grant Park start line are Le Méridien Essex Chicago. You'll see that one. That's a big sign. The Blackstone Autograph Collection. And then the Hilton Chicago. So all 3 of those, linked in my bio, are the closest top hotels that you can stay in that will get you right close to the start line and the finish line, because they're at the same place, which is Grant Park. But I'm gonna tell you, don't panic if you can't get into those, and if they're out of your price range, that's okay. There's so many around Chicago. You can stay almost anywhere and be okay. I would personally just stay as close to Grant Park as I possibly could. The first year I didn't stay within walking distance, but I was able to Uber maybe like a good mile. They dropped me off and I walked the rest of the way. That seemed to be fine. I'm just giving you a heads up right now. You will want to figure out how you're going to get there on race day. So that brings me to, how are you going to get there? Well, if you're not walking from your hotel, really make sure that you are getting there early if you are driving. If you are driving, now see, I'm lucky enough, my best friend let me use her car. If you are driving, download Spot Hero. Spot Hero has to be the biggest lifesaver I've ever had in my life. Spot Hero was incredible. I can reserve my parking spot the night before. Unfortunately, I reserved the wrong parking space and had to go get them to get me a claim because it was closed the next day, but they will refund your money if the parking space is not there. When you get there, they'll refund it, and then they'll also give you a credit towards the next parking stay. That's what I got. So I stayed in the north parking garage at Millennium Park, and it worked awesome. The traffic cops were great. I got in and out really quick. It came out to be, I think, $12 for parking on Spot Hero. If I didn't do it on Spot Hero, it would have been like $40 to $60. So again, save money, download Spot Hero. You will not regret it. Link in my bio. So now once you're at the race, I don't want you to panic. So there's two things to really take into account with these world majors. There are corrals, because you're not just all one big start line. There are corrals, and there are corral closing times. Pay close attention to this closing time because they are very serious. I know quite a few runners that have been turned away at the closing times, and it's not fun because they shuffle you back to the other corral. You won't not be able to run the race unless you're at the last corral, but don't do that. But it's not fun. You want to start in your time spot because all the corrals are based either off the time that you submitted or off the time that you said you'd finish the marathon in. Of course, the faster your time, the closer to the front you are. I think I got into Corral D this year. A and B are the elites. C, D, and E, actually I was E. I got into Corral E. Those are the sub 4 hour marathons, maybe sub 3:45 marathons, and then it gets longer from there. It's not bad that you're in a farther corral. You're just going to start later, so keep that in mind. But pay close attention to your corral closing times, because I would personally recommend getting to the race an hour before that corral closing time. Now, you'll hear a lot of runners say, well, security and this and that. It's okay. Security, they just usher you through. They're really good about it. Make sure you don't hassle. Know not to bring a bag. Know not to do all these things that they tell you not to do to get through security. Just be polite. Have your clear bag full of whatever it is and maneuver through security. I promise it does not take you that long. I personally got there an hour and a half before my start time, and I regretted it. I wish I only got there an hour. It would have given me a good 30 minutes to run around, get stretched out, to drop off my bag at the bag check if I needed to. I don't, but if you need to, drop it off. Feel good, go to the bathroom, and do what you need before the race. I think that would be adequate time. Now, if you have a very long warm-up routine, I would get there way prior to the race, because it is fun to look around the race, to see the other runners. Everyone's in their own world at this point. I wouldn't get there with the expectation that you're going to be super social. I would get there with the expectation that you're going to get ready for this race, and I would keep it at that. So I'm talking about the start times and the corrals. Where does this thing start? It starts in Grant Park. Grant Park is like pretty much like the epicenter when it comes to race weekend. So during race weekend, you are now when it comes to race weekend, I honestly think is super important. So the expo, a shakeout run, and find where you're going to eat. So let's start with the expo. I don't know why I did this. This is something I would do differently, is I went to the expo on the second day. I would totally go to the expo on the first, and here's why. The first day you get there, you want to go to the expo, you want to pick up your race packet. You don't want any stress that you might not be able to make it over to pick up your race packet in time. And on top of it, if you get there early, your sizes for gear, so if you want like swag outside of the cool shirt they give you, you're more likely to get your size. And I say this because the first year I did really good with Lululemon. I went and got my size and I was good. Second year, they were out of everything because I am apparently the size of every other runner that was at that race, and they sold out the first day. So that is all I recommend, is go out there and get your size. This year they had a really cute jacket. I really wish I got this jacket. They were out of my size. So, it is what it is. That's my own fault. But make sure you get there early, because it was like, look at this super cute jacket. I would 100% wear this. I love the finisher jackets. If you could get any swag at a major marathon, get the race jackets. I promise you will not regret it. So that's the expo. The next one is look for a shakeout run. And now I'm going to tell you, most of the shakeout runs were around Grant and Millennium Park. So pretty much, I'm not a city person, but these were pretty much the exact, they were connected to the same area. They were in the same spot. You can walk from Millennium Park to Grant Park. It really wasn't that far, especially when you're a runner. A lot of different companies had shakeout runs here. Now, I can't speak for what companies will be at the future races, but I went with Runners Empire. I know Heartbreak Runners from Boston. They have a shakeout run. There's so many shakeout runs. See who you really like as a company and see if they're at Chicago. A lot of these companies do go to the World Majors, so maybe you can go meet some of those people behind the walls of the company and see them in the shakeout run. And you also meet a lot of friends at the shakeout run, so I highly recommend it. It was my best race, and it was the first time I ever did a shakeout run, so I would 100% recommend finding a race and doing a shakeout run. And finally, you want to find a place to eat. I tell people this, no matter, like, you're a seasoned runner, find a place to eat. Know ahead of time, because in cities you have to make a reservation. I'm a small town girl. I don't understand that. So I always plan ahead what I want to eat. I always eat pasta. I did go to this cute little market, and the link down here in the bio. Cute little market. We went with 4 of us for lunch, and it was a food market where you can get whatever kind of food you wanted and what you were feeling like, because there was about 10 different restaurants in there, and you didn't have to just be subjected to one type of food. My friends got Greek, I got Indian food. I knew that sat well with my stomach. So, you know, it's up to you. I think that's the best way to go for your group of people, because everybody wins, everybody gets what they want, and everybody knows what sits good with their stomach. So just keep that in mind. Get some food. I cooked from my house. I don't really know where good food is. I wish I had that one for this race review. Okay, so now you've made it through race weekend. You got through security. You got to the start line, and we're going to talk about the course. So the course is, I think, one of my favorite courses. It's totally flat, you guys. I came from Florida, and I ran this from no problem in 2019. I came from Salt Lake City, and I was flying on it because it didn't have a hill. So that has to be my favorite part about this one, is there's not many hills. There's a few tiny hills towards the end. The last 400 meters, I will warn you, like, you are right there at the finish line, and there is this small hill, like, not even like, it's a ramp. And I'm telling you, after 26 miles and the last 400 meters is a small hill, it breaks you. Like, it breaks you in half. So I'm just warning you ahead of time. A lot of people don't know about that one, but there's really no noticeable hills to focus on throughout this race. What I really would focus on in this entire race, as you can see on this map where it's going through, I would really highly focus on getting lost in the crowds. And I say that because Chicago, coming even after running New York City, Chicago had to have some of the best crowds I've ever seen in my life. They were about 5 or 6 people deep the entire way. It was just such an amazing feeling. The signs are amazing. The atmosphere is incredible. And the city is gorgeous. I think my favorite part is between mile 5 and 8. Not because it's early on in the race, but when you're running through there in Chicago in the beginning of October, the leaves are changing. It's absolutely just beautiful there, and you just get lost in the beauty and the crowds and just how much fun it really is over there. And then you get lost in the city. There's so many different districts. There's so many different things that you run through. Now, my race strategy for this one, if I could go redo it all over again, is my mantra would be just let your legs take you. Don't worry about pushing yourself as hard as you can. The race is flat. Let your legs take you. Let that turnover happen, and don't force yourself to do anything, because I promise you, your body is going to take care of you on this race. You've got cool temperatures. I think the high on our day was 55. Beautiful in the morning, just even more perfect at the very end. Don't get caught up in pushing yourself. I don't remember what it looked like in 2019, but when I came back here in 2022, I just was in awe of the city. It was just so gorgeous. That does bring me to one point, though. If you are focused on using a Garmin, I don't have my Garmin on. What's wrong with me? If you are focused on Garmin and your time and your pace, your Garmin, most likely, unless there's a fun update someday, will not work in the city. The pace is going to jump all over itself. I would focus on hitting the time. Every time you hit a new mile, hit that new lap, if that works for you. If you don't want to remember to do that, then don't worry about your pace. Don't worry about your time. The city's going to force you not to do that. Now, of course, what would you wear at the start line? One biggest thing here is have throwaway clothes. So many people want to hold on to their nice jackets. So many people want to hold on to their great sweatshirts. Come with the expectation that you're going to be freezing cold in the morning and you're going to be ready to throw it off before you get to the start line. What's really cool about the majors, and quite a few marathons do it too, is you can wear sweatshirts, sweatpants, whatever it is, and at the very start of the line, you can toss them off before you start running. Now, a lot of organizations actually collect these, and it used to be the Boy Scouts, but I hear it's a lot more than just the Boy Scouts now. Collect these and help give them to the needy, give them to the homeless, and donate them to people that need them. Don't wear your brand new North Face jacket if that's not what you want to lose. Wear something that you're like, I'm okay with actually giving this away. And I promise you, you have those in your closet. So use them and just wear it beforehand, toss them off to the side and get running. I promise you it's great. Now, if you don't want to go out and buy clothes or don't have anything that you can't throw away, I've used a trash bag. I just bundle myself up, poke some holes in the trash bag, or you can get one of those foil blankets that will keep you warm. That's honestly what I usually use, and it works so well. So try it. Try one of those. It will keep you warm. But in Chicago, I've always used a jacket because Chicago is very cold. Now, real quick, things I would have done differently. Like I said, this is one of my best races I've ever done. I'm just still on the Chicago high, even after running New York City. I'm so excited for you if you get to run it in 2023 and beyond, because I want to go back. I just know that if I want to do the other majors, I have to set my focus on that, so I don't want to travel to Chicago again. But if I could do anything differently, it would honestly be spend a few more days there. There's quite a few things to do around Chicago. It would be put the expo beforehand and try to go to as many meetup groups as I possibly can. The first time around, did the sightseeing in Chicago. I went to Willis Tower. I did the cruise around the city. I went to the Lincoln Park Zoo. And I also went to the Bean, took all my pictures at the Bean and everything like that. I loved it. I love doing that. But when it comes to race weekends, if you get to do it twice, use the second weekend as not a sightseeing weekend, but a weekend where you get to mingle with all the runners. Look up events that are happening. There was influencer meetups, shakeout runs, there's dinners with runners. There's so many awesome opportunities to go out and meet other people that are just like you and love running just like you do, that you shouldn't miss if you aren't there to sightsee. Don't sit in your hotel, go out and do things. Because I personally think socializing and getting pepped up actually helped me more than resting ever would, because it gets your adrenaline going and puts you in a great mindset, and it just makes you such a happier person. And that brings us to the last thing, and that is swag. And yes, I couldn't find my 2022 shirt. It's somewhere in my laundry, but this is 2019. I love these tech shirts. Nike is the one that sponsors Chicago Marathon. Well, Nike apparel, because the Bank of America sponsors Chicago Marathon. And here is the medal from 2020. I love it. It's just my favorite thing. They fit so nice. 2022 actually fits just as well as 2019 does. I wear these shirts all the time, and you are so proud to wear your major shirts afterwards. So wear that medal, wear that shirt, because you are going to run all 6, and Chicago is going to be your one to remember, because now you have all the information that you need to stack up and have an amazing race. So when you get that lottery ticket, go book your hotel and start planning for Chicago, because it is going to be your best time. And I'm going to be here to cheer you guys on. So follow me. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. I want to hear about your race in Chicago. Bring it down in the comments. And if you've run it, what did I miss? Because I would love to hear your experience and things that people should also do. So be checking the comments for that. Other than that, you guys, that is what I've got for the race review. I hope you go out there and have a wonderful time, because we are getting into a new year for new majors and we're all ready for it. So you guys, go out there and run your lives before life runs you. Bye, guys.